Three board members of the Maple Grove HOA stood there, frozen. One dropped his phone. Another muttered under his breath, "We didn't see anything, right?" Too late. The shed door was wide open, and the words "Property of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms" were stamped on every crate inside. And guess who just filmed the entire thing? But let me back up and explain how we got here. Because the only thing more surprising than what they found inside my shed was the fact that every last bit of it was 100% legal. My name is Marcus Jennings. I'm 35, a former Army logistics officer, a man who enjoys nothing more than peace, a cold beer at 4 p.m., and mowing the lawn while listening to true crime podcasts. I live on the edge of a suburb called Maple Grove Estates. It sounds fancy, but don't be fooled. It's a grid of beige homes with 2 potted plants per porch and an HOA board that takes its job way too seriously. Here's the thing. My property isn't part of the HOA. Never was. I bought it after an old farmhouse on the edge of the development burned down, and the developer gave up trying to loop it into their tidy little Stepford community. I built a modest house with a steel-reinforced shed out back. I like tools. I like being prepared. Maybe I even lean a little toward doomsday prepper, if I'm honest. One day, an old friend from my Army days, now working with the ATF, asked if I had room to temporarily store some seized equipment. Nothing dangerous, just overflow gear waiting to be processed. Everything locked down tight under federal chain of custody protocol. Totally legit. Enter Kathy. She's the president of the Maple Grove HOA. To be shown's a white SUV with rhinestone license plate frames and the kind of passive-aggressive energy usually found in middle school lunch ladies. Kathy noticed my shed early. It wasn't HOA beige. It had no decorative trim. Worse, I didn't install the approved bronze mailbox with calligraphy font. She hated me instantly, and since my home wasn't under her jurisdiction, she couldn't touch me. Or so I thought. First came the letters. Concerned resident notices. Then unannounced visits, always around dinner. Just checking zoning lines, she'd say. Then she formed a little patrol. Greg, a retired orthodontist who wears tactical sunglasses indoors, and Cheryl, who once filed a complaint about her neighbor's wind chimes. I caught Greg on a ladder one afternoon, trying to peer over my fence. He nearly fell off and tried to accuse me of unsafe landscaping. But things escalated last week. I was out grabbing some drill bits when I got an alert on my phone. Backyard motion detected. I opened the feed, and there they were, Kathy, Greg, and Cheryl, bolt cutters in hand. I couldn't believe it. I got home in 15 minutes, but they had already cut the lock and opened the shed. Linda had her phone out, trembling as she tried to take a photo. Greg looked like he'd seen a ghost. Kathy was mumbling, "This is evidence," as if that would make her breaking and entering more noble. So I hit record. "Hey folks," I said calmly. "Hope you're enjoying the tour. Just FYI, everything in that shed is federal evidence, under ATF custody. So, congratulations. You just committed a felony. Several, actually." Faces went pale. Kathy started ranting about public safety. I had footage of her opening a box labeled ATF evidence. Do not tamper. They tried to walk off like nothing had happened. But I noticed a paper sticking out of Kathy's purse. Later that night, I found a letter in my mailbox. "Your property has been inducted into Maple Grove HOA, effective immediately." They broke in my shed and tried to redraw the neighborhood lines to claim my property. I didn't just get mad. I got strategic. The next morning, I compiled everything. Footage from the backyard, copies of all HOA communications, and a polite email to Derek, my contact at the ATF. The subject line, "Unauthorized civilian access to evidence lockup." He called within the hour, laughing. I sent over the video. By noon, he had escalated it to their legal department. Meanwhile, Kathy wasn't done. That afternoon, another letter arrived, this time with a $200 fine for shed aesthetic violations. I nearly choked on my coffee. Then Greg and Cheryl came to my door. "We're trying to resolve this civilly," Greg said, holding a binder. I handed them a flash drive labeled Exhibit A and closed the door. Derek told me the ATF was opening an inquiry. Charges were on the table. At the very least, they'd issue a cease and desist. 2 days later, I got summoned to an emergency HOA meeting, held in Kathy's garage. Plastic chairs, lemonade, a sign reading Maple Grove Civic Council. Kathy accused me of storing military-grade hazards. She held up a blurry photo of the crates. I recognized it from the moment Linda dropped her phone. I raised my hand. Are you accusing a federal contractor of mishandling ATF evidence? Because if so, I hope you have a good lawyer. Silence. 10 minutes later, Derek called. I answered on speaker. Hey, Marcus, just a quick update on the federal trespassing case. Kathy turned white. 2 days later, a suited man delivered a cease and desist letter to Kathy's door. It outlined their violations, warned of obstruction charges, and notified their insurance provider. Ted, my neighbor, watched her stand motionless for 10 minutes, holding the envelope like a subpoena from God. Then their website vanished. But Kathy wasn't done. A week later, I got a letter from a law firm claiming to represent the Maple Grove Civic Association, accusing me of endangerment and conduct unbecoming of a community member. That was a mistake. By claiming my property, they triggered a clause in their charter that made their entire HOA structure illegal. I had documentation to prove it. I hired a real estate lawyer. He reviewed the fake boundary expansion they'd filed with the county. Never approved, never legal. Fraud. We filed a complaint. Meanwhile, Kathy kept digging. She sent mass emails, claimed I was a menace, even wrote that I resisted community integration. So I printed a flyer, a simple explanation of how their charter was fake and how to pull your own property deed. I distributed it on a Sunday walk. Within days, neighbors started asking questions. One had been fined for yellow flowers, another for barking dogs, a third for repainting his garage. All bogus. Then came the tipping point, a financial audit. Someone discovered a hidden account. Thousands of dollars in community improvement funds with zero actual improvements. Travel expenses, suspicious checks, no paper trail. At the next meeting, a quiet neighbor stood up with receipts and demanded Kathy resign. She tried to shout them down. It didn't work. Her little empire collapsed. We filed one last motion, a formal request to dissolve the HOA. The county reviewed the documents. Their findings: the HOA had no legal authority. The charter was void. The accounts were frozen. Maple Grove HOA ceased to exist. But Kathy? She rebranded. A week later, I got a flyer from the Maple Grove Wellness Committee. Same passive aggression. New name. Then I noticed a camera hidden in a tree, aimed at my patio. I traced the signal. Kathy's Wi-Fi. She was spying on me. So I gave Derek another call. Turns out, Kathy had violated multiple counts of unauthorized evidence distribution when she shared blurry crate photos online. That kicked the ATF case back into motion. Then came bunco night. Around 8:30 p.m., 3 unmarked vehicles arrived outside Kathy's house. No lights, no sit-ins. Just quiet agents in suits. They walked right in. Kathy was mid-toast, holding a wine glass and lecturing on neighborhood unity. She left in handcuffs. Not arrested, just detained. Her devices seized. A court date issued. A gag order placed. The next morning, she returned, shaken. Her Facebook group? Shut down. Her flyers? Gone. Her committee? Disbanded. But as I planted tomatoes one afternoon, she walked by, paused at the edge of my property, and smiled. Not a neighborly smile. A challenge. That's fine, because my shed still stands. The most federally protected lawn accessory in Maple Grove. And next time Kathy tries anything, I won't be the only one watching. I'll have the feds, the cloud, and the whole damn internet on my side. Let her try me.